Rain beat against the porch roof as baby Clara's stroller sat parked by the screen door, her blanket kicked halfway off. Danny tugged gently on the leash, but Thor, their old German shepherd, refused to move. He stood rigid, teeth bared, blocking the stroller's path. Just as Danny bent down to scold him, she heard it, distant at first, then closer. Tires screaming, a sound like metal snapping. The crash didn't come from the road. It came from the woods behind the house, where no one should have been. Stick around. What happened next broke every layer of trust this family had left. The morning had been ordinary. Too ordinary, Danny thought. She stood at the sink of the old farmhouse, rinsing oatmeal from baby Clara's bowl, listening to the quiet tick of the kitchen clock. Thor lay near the door, gray-faced, head on his paws, eyes tracking every movement with almost human tiredness. Outside, mist clung to the trees. Summer had given way to the kind of early autumn where the air stayed damp and cool all day. Danny glanced toward the stroller by the front door. Clara had just fallen asleep, thumb in her mouth, pink knit hat pulled low over her ears. She checked her watch. 10:42 a.m. Aaron was late. Again. She wiped her hands on a towel, walked over to the front door, and unlatched the screen. The hinges squealed. As she reached for the stroller handle, Thor lunged forward, teeth flashing, and planted himself squarely between her and the baby. Danny froze. "Thor," he growled, not loud, not aggressive, but low, deep, and certain. His eyes didn't leave hers. "You need to move, bud. I just want to take her out front. That's all." Another growl. His tail didn't wag. His ears didn't perk. It was the same look he'd had the night Danny's brother died, 6 years ago. The night he refused to let anyone into the barn until the sheriff arrived and found the rope swinging from the rafter. She stepped back. Her heart began to race. Not full panic. Not yet. But there was something in her chest that stirred, like her body knew something her mind didn't. Then came the sound. Faint, metallic, wrong. She turned toward the woods that edged the back of the property. Thick pines and oak twisted into one another like a wall. Nothing should have been moving back there. There was no road, no trail. Then the sound again, this time clearer. A car engine, revving too high, tires slipping in mud. And then, crack, like wood being split down the center. Boom. The ground trembled beneath her boots. Danny scooped Clara up from the stroller, holding her close as Thor darted past her and bolted down the hallway toward the back door. She followed. The back porch sagged beneath her as she stepped out into the cold air. Rain beaded on her jacket. The forest beyond the field was silent again. Too silent. Then a branch snapped. She jerked toward the sound and saw a figure, dark, stumbling, emerging from the woods. Thor snarled. Danny clutched Clara tighter and stepped back, eyes narrowed. Her mind tried to catch up. The man was limping, soaked to the bone, face smeared with something dark. Not blood, mud, oil maybe. He stopped at the edge of the field and looked up. Even from this distance, she saw recognition in his face. He waved weakly. "Aaron," she whispered. But Aaron was supposed to be at the mechanic shop across town. He wasn't due back until noon, and he wouldn't be walking out of the woods like some ghost. Still it was him, her husband, and behind him, half buried in the tree line, was something else. A vehicle. Danny felt her knees weaken. The front end of the car was crushed against an oak, the driver's door hanging open like a broken jaw. Steam rose from the hood. Aaron stumbled forward. "Danny," he called voice hoarse. "It wasn't me. You have to believe me. I didn't." Then he collapsed. She ran to him, breath caught in her throat, trying to balance Clara in one arm and reach her husband with the other. Thor stayed behind, growling low, his ears pinned back. When she reached Aaron, his hands were trembling. "There's someone else," he rasped, "in the trunk." She blinked. "What?" "I thought it was just a job, just a drop-off. I didn't know." He tried to stand again. Failed. Danny stared at the wreck, her stomach turning. She handed Clara back to Thor, who, oddly, stood still and allowed the child to rest against him, and crept toward the car. The smell hit her first. Wet metal, oil, something sour. She circled the wreck slowly. The trunk had popped slightly open from the impact. She reached for it. Her hands shook. Inside lay a teenage boy, maybe 16, unconscious but breathing. Blood on his temple. Zip ties on his wrists. Danny staggered back, her mouth dry. Aaron was crawling toward her now. "I didn't know," he repeated, eyes filled with tears. "I swear to God, Danny, I thought it was pills." That's what they said. It was always pills. She could barely hear him. Her eyes were fixed on the boy, the bruises, the jacket, the high school crest on the shoulder. He wasn't a stranger. She'd seen his face before, on the flyer posted at the gas station last week. Missing, Noah Grayson, age 16. Last seen walking home from football practice. She backed away. Aaron tried to grab her wrist. "Please, you have to believe me. I was trying to protect us." Her voice came out cold. "By kidnapping a kid?" "I didn't know," he whispered. "It wasn't supposed to be him. I thought I was just driving the car back to Milo's place. He gave me the keys this morning. Told me it was clean. I swear to you, Danny, I didn't know there was anyone in the trunk." Milo. The name hit her like a punch. Milo Kramer, Aaron's former cellmate. Fresh out on parole. He'd been around the last few months. Helping with odd jobs. Always lurking in the garage. She had a bad feeling about him from the start. "You should have told me," she said quietly. "I couldn't," he said. "You would have left." She stared at him. The pieces didn't fit. Not yet, but something was beginning to take shape. A lie, long buried, finally showing its shadow. She turned back to the house. Thor stood rigid, Clara tucked against his side, his eyes still fixed on the tree line. That's when she saw it. Another figure. Not Milo. Someone else. Watching. Just at the edge of the woods. Then gone. A flicker. A ghost. But real. And in the mud, where Aaron had come from, were more footprints. More than one set. This wasn't over. Not even close. The boy, Noah Grayson, was still unconscious when the ambulance arrived. Danny had called 911 from the landline, her hands shaking, her voice flat. She didn't say much. Just enough. Wreck in the woods. Teenager in the trunk. Send help. She didn't mention Aaron. Not yet. By the time the sirens echoed through the hollow. Aaron had cleaned himself up just enough to look like someone trying to help. He sat on the porch steps, soaked in guilt and rain, cradling a mug of coffee with both hands like a shield. Danny didn't sit beside him. She stood near the fence. Clara pressed close to her chest, watching the medics move quickly through the field. Thor stood between them, eyes still scanning the woods. When the sheriff's cruiser pulled up behind the ambulance, Danny felt her throat tighten. Not because of fear, because of who stepped out. Sheriff Louise Barrett. She was in her late 50s now, hardline and quiet, a woman who'd buried her husband and arrested her own son before retiring for a single year, only to come back when the town elected her again after the drug wave hit last spring. She was also Danny's godmother, and Danny hadn't spoken to her since the incident with her brother 6 years ago, since the funeral, since the rope. Barrett adjusted her hat, squinted toward the porch, then walked straight up to Danny like no time had passed. "Who found the boy?" she asked. No greeting. Danny nodded toward the woods. In the trunk, wreck hit the oak behind the orchard. Aaron brought the car back, said it belonged to Milo Kramer. Barrett's expression changed. Slight, subtle. She stepped around Danny without another word and approached Aaron, who stood to greet her, hands raised a little like a man surrendering. "I didn't know the kid was in there," he said before she could speak. "I didn't even make it home. Crashed right into the trees when I swerved to miss a deer. I was just doing Milo a favor." Barrett gave a small grunt, pulled a notepad from her jacket. "You telling me," she said slowly, "you were behind the wheel of a stolen car with a missing teenager zip-tied in the trunk and didn't know anything about it?" Aaron hesitated. Danny could hear the lie form behind his teeth. Then Thor growled again, deep and certain. Aaron's mouth shut. Barrett scribbled something. "Sit tight. Don't go anywhere." She turned to Danny. "Walk with me." They crossed the yard in silence, down past the orchard where old apples had fallen and rotted into the mud. The trees swayed with a whisper that felt like a warning. "You should have called me sooner," Barrett said once they were out of earshot. Danny's jaw tightened. "About what?" "About Milo. About Aaron getting involved again. You know how that man operates. He's not just slinging pills anymore. We found 3 bodies linked to his crew last year. Kids. Runaways." "I didn't know," Danny whispered. Barrett stopped. "Face her. You always know. You just don't want to." That stung more than she'd admit. Danny looked back toward the house. Aaron swore he was done. Said it was just one job. Said he was getting cash to fix the truck, pay off the loan. "I didn't." Barrett cut her off. "How long has he been talking to Milo again?" "Maybe a few months." Barrett rubbed her temples. "That's long enough to get in real deep. Milo doesn't give second chances. If Aaron messed up this drop..." Danny swallowed hard. "They'll come here, won't they?" Barrett didn't answer, but her eyes said everything. Later that night, after the paramedics and deputies had gone, after Aaron had been questioned but not arrested. Yet, Danny sat in the dark living room holding Clara. Thunder rolled in the distance. Thor lay by the window, ears twitching at every branch scrape and creak of the old house. Aaron stood in the kitchen doorway, pale, silent. "Tell me the truth," Danny said. He didn't move. "Was it just one job?" Aaron looked down. "No." She nodded once. "Quiet." He took a step forward. "Danny." "No." She stood, shifted Clara gently into the bassinet, and stepped closer. "I'm not stupid," she said. "I saw the cash stashed in the back of the shed last week. You said it was from scrap metal, but no one pays 15 grand for rusted parts." Aaron opened his mouth. "Don't lie again," she said softly. "I'm tired of loving a liar." His face crumpled. "I didn't mean to drag us into this." "But you did." A long silence. Then she whispered, "Milo's going to come back, isn't he?" Aaron nodded slowly. Danny turned and looked at Thor. The old dog lifted his head, alert. "What is it?" she whispered. He stood, growled, low, towards the back door. Danny followed his gaze. The motion sensor light outside blinked on. Someone was out there. Aaron grabbed a shotgun from behind the kitchen cabinet. Thor lunged forward, teeth bared, barking now. A deep, sharp sound that echoed to the walls. Danny grabbed Clara, her heart racing. Aaron moved to the door, cracked it open. Nothing, just mist, the trees. Then a click behind them. They spun. The front door was open, just slightly. Aaron raised a gun. Thor ran. Danny ran after him. The front porch creaked. No one there. But something was left behind. A box, wrapped in brown paper. No markings. No note. Aaron stepped forward. Danny grabbed his arm. "Don't," she whispered. Too late. He picked it up, lifted the lid. Inside, photos of Clara playing in the yard, in the tub, sleeping, and one of Danny, taken from outside the bedroom window. Her blood ran cold. There was also something else. A bracelet, old, woven blue string with tiny silver beads. Danny knew it instantly. It was her brother's, the one he wore every day until the night he died. She had never found it after the funeral. Her voice cracked. "Where did they get this?" Aaron's face went pale. "They've been watching us," she said. "No," he breathed. "No, this doesn't make sense. They wouldn't go after..." He stopped. Danny stared at him. "What is it?" Aaron hesitated. Then, slowly, "That night your brother died, I wasn't just working late. I was meeting Milo." Danny's breath left her body like a punch to the chest. "He told me to come alone," Aaron went on, voice hollow. "Said it was just a test. I didn't think. He said it was about trust, about joining the crew, about earning." She whispered, "And my brother found out." Aaron nodded once. "He threatened to go to the sheriff." Her hands trembled. "Did you kill him?" she asked, not blinking. "No," his eyes filled. "But I didn't stop it either." Danny staggered back, breath caught in her throat. Thor was barking again now. Loud. Urgent. Danny ran to the bassinet. Clara was gone. The scream that tore from Danny's chest wasn't loud. It was sharp, bare, a wound ripped open midair. She whirled, knocking over a chair, her hands empty, her baby gone. The bassinet sat tilted, the blanket still warm. Thor was already outside, crashing through the porch screen, barking with fury Danny had never heard from him in 9 years. Not when wolves circled the goats. Not when the fire came within feet of the back shed. This bark was something else. Panic rose like a tide, washing her thoughts away. Aaron shouted her name from behind, but she didn't wait. She ran. Down the porch. Into the night. Following Thor. The rain had stopped, but the mist still clung to everything, wrapping the trees in white and shadow. She could barely see 6 feet ahead, but she didn't stop. Clara! 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 Her boots splashed through the orchard mud, and that's when she saw it. A figure. Ahead. Running. Danny's breath caught. Her legs burned. The shape was small. Wiry. Holding something in its arms. Clara! Stop! Danny screamed. No answer. But Thor surged ahead, a blur of gray fur and rage. The figure tried to veer left into the tree line, but the dog was faster. He slammed into the figure's legs with a snarl that made Danny flinch. They both went down. Danny reached them seconds later. The man was barely a teenager. 17, maybe. Skinny, pale, black hoodie soaked and torn. He curled protectively over Clara, shielding her from the dog's jaws. But she was safe, crying unharmed. Get off her. Danny yelled. He raised his hands. I wasn't going to hurt her. Thor growled again, teeth inches from the boy's throat. Aaron crashed through the trees behind her, panting, gun still in hand. Danny grabbed Clara, clutching her to her chest. The baby sobbed, tiny hands fisted in Danny's collar. Aaron yanked the boy up by the shirt and slammed him against a tree. Who are you? Who sent you? The boy shook, trying to speak. I was trying to save her. Aaron raised a shotgun. Stop. Danny shouted. Aaron hesitated. He's not one of them, she said, eyes fixed on the kid. The boy was crying now, shaking so hard his teeth clattered. Milo's people took me too, he choked out. I escaped last night. I've been hiding in the orchard. I heard everything. I saw them watching your house. One of them left the baby's window unlocked. They were going to come tonight. I thought if I move her first, they couldn't take her. Danny stared at him, heart still hammering. What's your name? Tommy, he whispered. I was with Noah in the same house. Aaron's face went white. You escaped, Danny said slowly. He nodded. Then why come back? Tommy looked at Clara. Because they don't just take you. They make you part of it. Or they kill you. Aaron lowered the gun. Danny took a breath, cold and sharp, and turned to Aaron. You know what they want? He nodded, eyes hollow. They want you, she said. And Aaron didn't argue. They didn't call the sheriff. Not yet. There wouldn't be time. Danny knew Milo, knew how his mind worked. She remembered the way he watched people, waited, calculated. He wouldn't call first. He'd come at night, quiet, with fire. She put Clara in the cellar, locked the door, gave Tommy a flashlight and a box of crackers, and told him to keep her safe. Thor stayed beside them. Then she loaded the truck. Aaron sat in the passenger seat, silent. Where's the meat? She asked. Old meat packing plant. Off Hollow Ridge. She didn't ask how he knew. They drove in silence, headlights cutting through fog and dark like knives. The plant looked dead. Rusted signs. Chain link gate hanging crooked. But the door was open. Inside, the smell of rotting metal clung to the air. Danny stepped in first. Shotgun loaded. Aaron behind her. And there he was. Milo. He leaned against a conveyor belt, smirking. Hell of a night, he said. Milo. Aaron muttered. Good to see you, brother. Danny kept the gun leveled. Where's the rest of them? She asked. Milo raised his eyebrows. You think I need backup for a woman and a traitor? You took a baby, she said. No, Milo said. I gave you a warning. And it worked. You came running. He stepped forward. You know what I want. Danny said, You're not leaving with him. Milo shrugged. Then you'll both die here. Behind them, a sound. Boots. Doors opening. Too late. 2 more men stepped from the shadows, one with a knife, one with a bat. Danny raised a gun. Milo lunged. The world exploded into motion. Gunfire. Shouting. Aaron tackled Milo. The man with the bat came at Danny. She fired. Missed. He swung. She ducked. Shot again. This time he dropped. She turned. Aaron was on the ground, bleeding. Milo was gone. Silence. Only the wind outside. The echo of metal. Danny dropped the gun. Ran to Aaron. Blood soaked his jacket. But he was breathing. She held him. I'm sorry, he whispered. I know. He tried to smile. Footsteps behind them. She turned. Milo stood in the door, gun raised. Should have just given me the kid, he said. Then a sound. A growl. Low. Deep. From outside. Thor. He flew through the doorway like a bullet. Teeth clamped down on Milo's arm. The gun fired, once, twice, into the ceiling. Danny didn't hesitate. She grabbed the fallen bat and swung. Milo collapsed. Thor stood over him, bloody but alive. Aaron groaned. Danny turned to him. His eyes fluttered shut. Stay with me, she begged. Outside sirens. Sheriff Barrett. Red and blue lights. It was over. Aaron survived barely. He served 2 years for obstruction. Milo disappeared into a prison cell and was never seen again. Tommy and Noah were reunited with their families, and Danny never let Clara out of her sight again. She sold the farm, moved 3 states away. But Thor, he stayed with her until the end. When Clara grew old enough to ask why her dog watched the door every night, Danny just smiled softly and said, Because he remembered. What Thor had sensed that day saved them all. Sometimes, the one who guards the house isn't the loudest, just the one who knows.